Welcome to the Economic Bulletin with me, Al-Hamalawi, and we'll start off with global economy as UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has proposed cutting the UN's core 2026 budget by $577 million, a 15% reduction, and reducing more than 18% of staff. He said that areas stood at $1.586 billion, including $709 million from 2024 and $877 million in unpaid 2025 contributions. The proposed $3.238 billion budget covers political, humanitarian, disarmament, economic, social affairs, and communications work, while contributions to most agencies, including the World Food Programme and UNICEF, remain voluntary. Guterres warned that liquidity remained fragile and that the challenge would persist regardless of the final budget. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has kept its global projections unchanged, expecting growth to ease from 3.2% in 2025 to 2.9% in 2026, before rebounding to 3.1% in 2027. It stated that global growth is holding up better than expected, with a surge in AI investment helping counter the impact of higher U.S. tariffs and lifting forecasts for several major economies. However, OECD warned that renewed trade tensions or disappointment in AI-related earnings could trigger a market correction.
However, our outlook highlights key fragilities on the horizon, from elevated trade restrictions to policy uncertainty and concerns about supply chain security, to rising public spending pressures from increased defense requirements and the rising economic and fiscal impacts of population aging and vulnerabilities associated with high financial asset valuations, such as for AI-related investments and cryptocurrencies. Our strong advice to all government remains to work harder, work together bilaterally and multilaterally to find the best possible ways to make our international trading arrangements fairer and function better in a way that preserves to the greatest extent possible the economic benefits of open markets and rules-based global trade.
In its latest economic outlook, the OECD has lifted its 2025 U.S. growth forecast to 2%, projecting a slowdown to 1.7% in 2026. AI investment, fiscal support, and Fed cuts offset economic drag, but the Trump administration's deficit path is unsustainable. Meanwhile, China's growth is expected to hold steady at 5% in 2025, up from 4.9% in September, before slowing to 4.4% in 2026, as fiscal support fades and new U.S. tariffs on goods imported from China bite. OECD Eurozone's 2025 forecast was raised to 1.3% from 1.2%, supported by strong labor markets and higher public spending in Germany. Growth is projected to ease to 1.2% in 2026 as fiscal tightening in France and Italy weighs on activity. Japan's economy is now expected to expand 1.3% in 2025, up from 1.1%, driven by strong earnings and investment, before moderating to 0.9% in 2026. Moreover, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has upgraded its outlook for Britain's economy, citing the boost to consumption from Finance Minister Rachel Reeves's budget, even as global uncertainty continues to pressure inflation. It now expects UK growth to reach 1.2% in 2026, up from September's 1% forecast, and 1.3% in 2027. The government deficit is projected to remain high, but decline from 5.9% of gross domestic product in 2025 to 5.1% in 2027, with total revenue rising to 40% of output. Consumer inflation is forecast to average 3.5% this year, higher than in any other G7 economy, before easing to 2.5% in 2026 and 2.1% in 2027. The OECD warned that earlier tax and spending measures will weigh on household incomes and curb consumption.